Hello guys, this is Virender from A1 Australia Group. So today we are going to record this video in which we will showcase you how our writing classes are conducted. So small video I'm going to play for you for about 20 to 25 minutes in which you can see what goes on in our writing classes. So watch the video and let me know if you enjoyed. Thank you.
At any point, guys, if I'm not audible to you, if you're not able to hear properly or not able to see the screen, do let me know. You can turn on your mic to inform me, or you can write it in the chat window as well. Okay. Also, another thing, guys, please don't be scared of asking the question. At any point, if you have any query, any question regarding what I'm teaching, if you're not able to understand anything, any word, any phrase, any idea, please feel free to turn on your mic and you ask me the question there and then itself. Okay, don't wait for the end of the class. However, you can ask it at the end as well. I'm not denying this, that you cannot do it at the end, but it's better if you clarify your doubts as and when they arise. Okay. Now, before we start with the model answer for this essay, I will go over the basics for the essay, which though I have repeated time and again, but many students are very new to the class, so I'll repeat it once again. First thing is, guys, you need to know about essay is that under IELTS writing test, you have two tasks, task 1 and task 2. Task 1 in general training and academic test, it's completely different. In general training, you have 3 letters, and under academic task 1, you have 7 types of charts, right? We are not going to discuss that with, that is not the focus, but this is something which you should know. But task 2 in both general training and academic is exactly the same. What you have is you have an essay. Now, the weightage of bands, how they have been distributed between these two tasks is like this. Task 1 fetches you 1/3 of the band scores, 33% of the weightage is allocated to task 1, and 66% weightage, around 2/3 weightage is allocated to task 2. It means your essay is more important when it comes to your band scores. I'll give it to you like an example, okay? You will understand it better. If let's say you write a good essay and you get 7 in your essay, 7 bands in your essay, and your task 1 was not so good and you scored only 6 bands in your task 1. So task 1, 6 bands, task 2, 7 bands. Your overall writing score would be 7 bands. But if the opposite happens, let's say you wrote a poor task 2, essay was not good, you scored 6 in essay, but your task 1 was very good, you scored 7 in task 1. Your overall scores would be 6 and not 7. This is the importance of essay. But here, let me put a word of caution. This does not mean that you should not practice your task 1, especially academic students, because task 1 can be difficult and it still fetches you 1/3 of the scores. It's not that it is not given any importance at all. So make sure you're spending more time on your essay. You're practicing more of your essays as compared to task 1. But yes, do practice your task 1 as well. Okay. First thing. Second is because of this reason, and also another reason that in task 2 in essay, you have to write more words as compared to your task 1. So you should always start with your essay first in your examination. This is a basic thing which you should do. Always start with your essay first, complete your essay, and then only you should jump onto your task 1. Reason for that, and it is especially true for academic students, is sometimes your task 1 is little difficult. So if you start with your task 1 first, what might happen is that you devote more time to your task 1. Let's say you end up spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes on your task 1, and all the extra time which you're spending on task 1, that is the time which you're eating from your essay, right? That time could have been better spent writing a good essay, which could have fetched you more bands. So don't commit this mistake. Always start with your essay first. Okay. Next, time division for your essay and task 1 should be like this. I will give you a hypothetical number, but this is an ideal number, right? Your broad timing should range between this. Your task 1 should be completed within 15 minutes. Your task 2 should be completed within 35 minutes. But first, write your task 2. So start with your essay first. Complete your task 2 within 35 minutes. Next 15 minutes should be allocated to your task 1. And the last 10 minutes you should have to revise your task 1 and task 2 so that you can omit any grammatical or spelling mistakes if you have committed, because they do cost you a lot of bands, especially if you're doing a lot of them, right? If you have this habit of making a lot of spelling mistakes, a lot of grammatical errors, a lot of punctuation errors, whatsoever is the error you are making, you need to correct it before you finally submit your essay and task 1. Because if you are not doing that, then rest assured you will lose bands. Now, it depends how many bands you're losing on the type of errors and the number of errors, whether it will be half a band or it will be 1.5 bands. But rest assured that you will lose bands for that. Okay. So make it a habit in the class itself, in your practice sessions, in your mock tests here itself, that you revise your task 1 and task 2 before you submit your essay and before you submit your task 1. And always start with your essay, 35 minutes for your essay, 15 minutes for your task 1, and the last 10 minutes to revise your task 1 and task 2. Now, I'm not saying this will always be the number. It can always digress between like 30, 40 minutes for your task 2 and let's say 10 minutes for your task 1, or the opposite, like 30 minutes for your task 2 and 30 minutes for your task 1. It can always change depending on the type of question and how familiar you are with the topic and how many ideas you can generate and how quickly you can generate those ideas, right? So the different factors which will affect this time, but broadly it should be in this vicinity. It cannot be like this, that you are giving, let's say, 35 minutes to your task 1 and 25 minutes to your essay. If you're doing that, then you will face the team, right? Okay, so keep this in mind. Next thing is with regard to the word count. So word count, as I've always told you, minimum amount of words which you have to write under task 2, under your essays, should never be less than 250 words. If you are doing that, you will lose bands. Then your scores for essay cannot be more than 6 or 6.5. 6.5 if you're lucky enough. Lucky enough in the sense, if you have very good command over your English, if you're writing good sentences, vocabulary is fine, grammar is top notch, ideas are to the point, you're not digressing from the topic, you have included good examples, then you can hope to achieve 6.5 if you're writing less than 250 words. So under no circumstance should you write less than 250 words. Now, another scenario, some students ask me, should I just finish at 250 words? No, guys, use your common sense, right? Try to enhance the word count, right? Your word count actually should be in the vicinity of around 270, 280, 300 words. And the max you can go up to is 350 words. Don't stretch beyond that. Reason for that, I've always told you, your examiners, they are paid by the number of answer sheets they analyze, not on an hourly basis. So the person, whosoever he or she is, they have no motivation to spend a lot of time on your essays. So if you're one of those students who has the habit of writing an essay 500 words long, rest assured your band scores will be poor, right? So don't do this, right? Besides, I don't understand what is the point of writing a 500 word essay if you can get the same band scores even better by writing a 300 word essay, right? So write a 300 word essay. The time which you have left with you, you can spend on improving that essay, writing better sentences, writing better vocab, correcting your mistakes, instead of spending those 10, 15 minutes on writing the extra 200 words. Don't do that, okay? Try to complete your essay within 250 to 350 words, and don't just try to meet this word count of 250 deliberately. If it happens naturally, it's fine that you're one of those students who naturally writes an essay for around 260, 270 words. It's good. But don't push yourself, don't restrict your ideas to complete in this range, that I will not write more than 250 words. 250 is the bare minimum. I will just finish at 250. Don't do that, okay? Extend your ideas, use good examples. Be very descriptive about what you are writing. The meaning should be very clear. There should be no hidden meaning in your question statements. It happens so many times when I'm analyzing your essay, you are writing very vague statements. You are not explaining them. And when I ask you what is the meaning, then you give me the explanation of that word or that statement in another 2 or 3 statements. But why did you not write those statements? If your essay was 270 words, what stopped you from including those 2 or 3 extra statements to take your essay to around 300 words, which could have fed you better bands? You could have scored 7 bands, 8 bands, instead of scoring that mark of 6 or 6.5. Okay. So don't do that, right? Always try to explain your ideas in as lucid terms as possible. But yes, 350 is the max you should go up to, right? It's not, okay, understand here as well. It's not that if you're, let's say you're writing 355 words, then those extra 5 words will cost your band scores. No, I'm not saying that, right? But in between 250, 350 words, I believe is the ideal word count which you should stick to, okay? And you can develop this habit of writing 300, 310, 320 words only if you practice it regularly. If you think that you will read 1,000 essays and you will just go to the examination hall and on the day of exam, you will be able to come up magically with 300 words, I can give it in writing, it will not happen. It has not happened for anyone. It will not happen for you as well. Okay. You need to practice your writing. Only then you can improve it, guys, right? Only then you realize where you're lagging, where your introduction is poor, or whether your conclusion is poor, or whether you're bad with ideas in the body paragraphs, or whether your examples are not good. What you are struggling with, you can only know that when you have actually tried practicing some of the essays. Okay, so do that, send your essays to me. I will analyze it for you. Word by word, I analyze your essay, right? I highlight the mistakes, I correct them, I circle the spelling mistakes, I point out the statements which are vaguely worded, everything I tell you, right? So please make sure you do write your essays and send them to me, okay? Now with this, we are done with the basics for the essays, which all of you should be aware about. Next thing is the type of essays which you have. Now, please understand, irrespective of the type, whether it is agreement, disagreement, advantage, disadvantage, discussion, opinion, every essay should consist of 4 paragraphs. Introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and conclusion. You can probably add 1 more paragraphs for your body paragraphs if you want to, if you have a lot of ideas. But keep in mind, it should not take your word count to around 400 words. If you're writing 5 paragraphs, introduction, conclusion, and in between you're writing 3 body paragraphs, then you have to shorten them so that they fit in the broader word count of 350 words. Ideal word count, according to me, it should be like this: 50 words for your introduction, 100 words for each of your body paragraphs, and 50 words again for your conclusion. Right? Now, what should be the content of these 4 paragraphs? We'll discuss it in few minutes, but this is something which you should remember for every type of essay which you're writing in your IELTS examination. Make sure you have these 4 paragraphs with you. Some students have the habit of writing 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, and some students are writing 6 paragraphs. All of them are incorrect. Don't do that. It is not required. It is not the best way to present your essay. Okay. IELTS exam is the game of showing yourself in a better light as compared to the person who is sitting next to you in the examination hall. If you can do that, your band scores will be better. If not, your band scores will be poorer. Okay, keep in mind, right? So try to be as good with your presentation as possible and as correct with your presentation as possible. Okay. Now, first, introduction. Introduction in every essay, I'll give you a structure today. Keep it in mind. For every type of essay, you can use as structure. Blindly go with that. I've scored 8 twice in my writing with that structure itself. You can also do that. Okay. In your introduction, 2 statements you should write. First is that you should rephrase the question in your own words, but the point to be kept in mind is don't change the meaning of the statement. The meaning, the intent of the statement should stay the same. Only words you have to change, but the meaning should be exactly the same, what the question conveyed you. First thing. Second thing in your introduction you write is you answer this question. So they're asking you whether you agree or disagree. Now it's up to you guys whether you agree with this statement or you disagree. You're free to choose any side, or you can partially agree with that. Partially means some part of the statement you agree with, but some part you disagree with. Many suggest handwriting skills are, I'm not sure. Son, we'll discuss it later on. Let me just complete, okay? Right? So it's up to you guys whether you want to agree or disagree with it, or you can partially agree or partially disagree, but make sure you state your idea, your opinion very clearly without any ambiguity in your introduction itself. If you agree with this, state that. If you disagree with it, state that. If you partially agree with it, state that, but you should be very clear. It should be very obvious from your second statement in the introduction that what your idea is, what you're going to write about. Simple as that. Now, some students, what they want is before they rephrase the question, they want to write a general statement, which is also called as a hook statement, a context statement, a background statement, anything you can call it, which is giving something related to the essay, which sets the tone of your essay from the beginning itself. It is not mandatory to write the statement, the general statement. You can just start by rephrasing the question and then stating what your opinion is. But for your convenience, what I have done is I've compiled a video. You can just go to your recordings, special classes, and go to this writing session. And under this, watch this masterclass folder. And here also, you will actually find 6 videos where I've taught you step by step how to write good essays. But just go to the last video. In this video, I have discussed in detail how you can write background statements. 3 ways I have discussed. Actually, I was writing background statements, okay, before this class, I should say, right? Why I've stopped writing background statements is because many students, they are not good with a background statement. They tried to copy the way I was writing, but the statements which they were writing were very poor. So I decided to altogether snub that part. If you want, you can write that. It's fine to do that. You can watch this video and you will understand it immediately how you can write a background statement. I'm not using that because many students were finding it problematic, and I didn't want to put any confusion in anyone's mind. Not everyone is at the same level. Some people need more help as compared to other students. So if you are good, if you have good command over English, you can definitely go ahead and write a background statement. I would encourage that. But even if you're not writing that statement, rest assured that you can get the best possible bands without that statement itself. Okay. However, if any of you is interested in understanding how to write those statements and what are the different ways, you can watch this video and you will understand it immediately. Right. Now, coming back to the essay for the day. Now let's read this essay and let's try and answer this one. So first thing is, they're saying some people say that in our modern age, that in this current day, right, nowadays, it is unnecessary, it is not important to teach children about the skills of handwriting. To what extent do you agree or disagree, right? Now understand, if you remember guys, I gave you this question in your last agreement disagreement essay class, and the answers which you provided, majority of you provided very poor answers. You were digressing from the topic. This is very simple topic, very easy. I will phrase the ideas in front of you, and I can guarantee all of you can think on those lines. But I don't understand the reason why are you not writing that, right? Please understand it. Your ideas are not so important. As long as you're answering what has been asked from you, the presentation will matter more. How you're presenting those ideas to the examiner, what kind of phrases are you using, what kind of vocabulary do you have, what is your grammar, all these things will matter more. Ideas are not going to impress the examiner. Don't think that if I write a very complex idea, it will fetch me better bands. Actually, it can backfire sometimes, that your idea is vaguely worded and then you end up losing the bands. It's good if you have very fancy ideas, right? If you have ideas which you can elaborate in a better manner, go ahead and do that. But please don't just get stuck on this idea part. Many students are stuck on this. Time and again, I have showed you. Today also, I will write very simple ideas and you will see it yourself. I can guarantee it, by the end of the essay, you all will say that, yes, definitely, this is the best way of writing the same ideas. But the ideas which I will write will be very simple, very mundane ideas, which you can call very boring. But you will see the presentation of the ideas will make it very interesting to read those ideas. Besides, guys, I've told you, right? The examiner who is going to analyze your answer sheet, that person must have read at least 1,000, 2,000 essays. It's not that you are going to present an idea which will blow the person off their feet. It is not going to happen. So don't try to impress the person with the idea. It's better to write simple ideas in a better manner. Okay. The intent, the meaning of the statement should be clear as compared to presenting a complex idea where it is vaguely worded, where the intent, the meaning, right, what you're trying to define or you're trying to express, that is not coming out clearly. Okay. So be very sure about this. Whatever you're writing, it should be very easy, very clear to understand. You can definitely use fancy words, fancy expressions, unconventional words. No one is stopping you from that, but it should be used in a correct manner. If you're using the vocabulary, but you don't understand the use of that word, if you're using it out of context, then it will not make any sense and they will mark it incorrect. You will lose bands instead of getting bands for that part, right? Now, first thing, as I've told you, we are going to write the introduction. So let me write the introduction for you rather than talking about it, and you will see it yourself how to write such an introduction, right? First thing, I'm going to rephrase the question in my own words. And second, I'll express what my opinion is, right? Now, in fact, let me state my opinion here before I write that. Let's plan our essay first, and then we'll write the essay. Now, guys, it's up to you whether you agree or disagree with this notion that we should teach or we should not teach the skill of handwriting to children, right? I believe that yes, it is relevant that we should teach the skill of handwriting to students, to children, but it is not so relevant as it was in the past. That you should not stress too much on this aspect. So I partially agree with this. Reason for that also is stated in the question itself. They're saying it that in a modern age, it means that in this age where you have iPhones, you have iPads, you have laptops, you have so many softwares which can help you write better things, why would you worry about handwriting? Most of us are already using computers and phones, right, for typing anything. So why would we worry about learning the skill of handwriting, right? So I would say that, yes, definitely I agree that in this day and age, when we have so much gadgets, right, we have so much technology, we have so many softwares which can actually help us write better as compared to what we can do without them. I believe that, yes, handwriting has lost its relevance, but it has not lost its relevance entirely. Still, a lot of work is done on paper, even in Australia, guys, right? If you visit a government office, if you have ever interacted with any government authority, you know, right? Still, a lot of things are done on paper. So everything has not completely shifted to the digital mode. Still, we are using the traditional pen and paper method. So as long as it exists, I believe that handwriting is necessary. But yes, the amount of time which we used to spend on learning handwriting, definitely the students, the kids of today's generation, they don't need that. So what we should do is we should tone down the amount of effort which we are exerting on making children learn this skill of handwriting. Even with the basic skill, right? Even if they just learn to write, that is more than sufficient. We should not stress too much on that. But yes, it is imperative to learn this skill to some extent. Why? Because still a lot of work around the world is still done on paper in traditional form. Okay, so this is what my opinion is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to agree, but not entirely. I'll partially agree. I will say that yes, this statement is valid, but not completely, right? It's not that I can just turn a blind eye to this aspect that I need not teach children the skill of handwriting. No, we cannot do that. We should teach them how to write using their hand. But yes, the amount of effort, the amount of time which we were spending earlier, that can definitely be reduced, right? We need not spend that much time on teaching this skill because it has taken the back seat, I can say, right? It has went to the background. Now in the front, what we have is we have these gadgets where we are just typing using our keyboards or on the screen using your phone, your iPad. So this is a reason I would say that handwriting is not so important, but yes, it does not mean that we should entirely snub it. No, we cannot do that. Okay. So this is what my opinion is. And this is what I will state in very clear terms in my introduction. So let's do that. So let's start our introduction. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rephrase a question and then I'll state my opinion. So I will say it like here. They're saying, some people say, instead of saying that, I will say it like this. I will say there is an opinion floating in the society. Means some people are saying, a group of people in the society, they say what, right? That in this day and age means in our modern age, right? So what has happened, I will say, right? Teaching the skill of, teaching this art of, teaching this ability of handwriting, right, to children is what? Is they are saying unnecessary. Instead of unnecessary, you can say it is not relevant, it is futile, or I can say it like this, is a waste of resources. That any resource which you're deploying for this, any time, any effort which you're spending is a waste, right? So this is what I'm doing when I'm rephrasing the question. Next, I have to state my agreement or disagreement. So I will state it in very clear terms. I will say, I believe this statement holds, that this statement is valid, but not entirely, right? This statement holds some merit, I will say. Some merit means, yes, definitely it holds some weight, okay, but it is not entirely true. Some merit, although I will say a subordinating conjunction to phrase a complex sentence, right? We should not turn a blind eye. Blind eye means we should not completely ignore it, right? To what? To this ability, this skill. And what we should actually do, we should teach our children. Children should still be taught what? How to write. They should still teach them how to write. This is what my introduction is. I'll repeat what I'm doing in my introduction, guys, right? So this part here, right? If I can highlight, right? This part here, I'm rephrasing the question here, right? And this part here, the second one, I'm giving my agreement and disagreement in very clear terms. This is what my introduction looks like. Let me highlight the important words. An opinion floating in the society, it just means that some people say this, okay? A waste of resources means it is unnecessary, it is not relevant, it is futile, right? Wholesome merit. Wholesome merit means that it has some weight to it, right? It has some importance, but not very, very important, okay? Should not turn a blind eye means we should not ignore it entirely. Should not turn a blind eye means we should not ignore it. And this is what my introduction looks like. Any doubt in the introduction, please ask. Any word, any phrase, any idea, how I'm phrasing it, how I'm structuring it, anything if you have not understood, you can ask. Please understand, guys, I'll repeat it again. It's up to you whether you want to agree or disagree, or you want to partially agree as I'm doing. But yes, your intent should be very clear in the introduction itself. Okay. Read it. Any doubt if you have, you can ask.